Okay, take two. Let's see if this works. Okay, clearly by now you guys know I am not a streaming professional by any means, so I appreciate you guys helping me figure this out. So we're just gonna chill. I've got stuff pulled up here on Pro Tools. Let me know if the video's any better. I actually don't know. It might be the camera, because I'm using a different camera. If it's just like a motion blur thing, or if the broadcast is actually stuttery, let me know. But we should have audio. Let me know if you guys could hear me. So I'm going to pull up Pro Tools here. I've got the chat pulled up down here so I can see you guys. Thanks for those of you sticking around after the first one crashed and burned. So let's see here. Pro Tools. Boom. You should see Pro Tools. And if I start, you should hear Pro Tools. You should not hear me. Here we go. And I should hear Pro Tools.
They smile or hold open a door, and knowing it won't end up like the last. I was so hurt by the last guy. I think I'm allergic to goodbyes.
So this is a song I've been working on for a little while. I'm taking it to weird places that I haven't really gone before, but I'm kind of digging it. It's a really cool artist. We're actually doing like 3 songs. It sounds amazing. Good. Hey, that's good. At least you could hear stuff. Your DAW is screaming loud. Is it? Pro Tools is louder than your voice. That could be the output. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, actually, you know what that is? I think I was screwing around with FGX2, and I think I have this just stupid loud just because I could. So that could definitely be doing it, and I need to pull the ceiling way back for streaming. So let me know if this is any better.
And knowing it won't end up like the last. I was so hurt by the last guy.
Alright. I appreciate you guys helping me figure this out. I'm like the new kid on the block when it comes to streaming. I know I've done a couple in the past, but it's complicated to figure out. There's a whole lot of moving parts when it comes to trying to figure this stuff out. So okay, I see my voice level. That should be a little closer. Just downloaded FGX2. Love it. Yeah, same here. Let me switch cameras here. I've had FGX1, and I think I got that thing back in 2010. It has been a long time. Do you guys like my cold voice? This is fun. That's why I haven't filmed any videos in a while. So you get to hang out with Sick Jeremy because nobody else can. So FGX1 was like one of the first really nice limiters I purchased from a software standpoint when I was just starting to mix and master my own stuff. And at the time, I thought it sounded great. I didn't really know what I was listening to. And if anybody has used FGX1 for a long time, you knew, like, as soon as that thing came out, it was like a year or two. Then they said that it was like FGX2 was coming down the line, and it took like a decade to finally get it, but it's here and it's cool. Sounds a little shrilly on my side. Like the microphone sounds shrill. Does anybody else notice that? FGX2 was supposed to be better on CPU, but it's still heavy. I haven't gotten that far down that road yet. I haven't noticed a problem, but I have a beast of a machine. overkill for what I'm doing, honestly, because I'm doing video stuff too. Does anybody else hear the shrill thing that he's mentioning on here? But one thing I really dig about this, let me switch back to Protools. Boom, there we go. Just watched the mic locker video, also collection. Weren't those contact mics originally made for tap dancing? I think, yes, some kind of theater. I know when I was in musical theater, we used those a lot. Whether it was for tap dancing or not. I mean, they're PZMs, pressure zone microphones, so they're meant to like sit on a surface and then pick up everything happening around them, whether that's tap dancing or like a conference table, and to pick up everybody talking from every direction. So yeah, they're pretty cool and useful in the studio if you have a small space, especially. Before I redid the studio, my room was way smaller, so I was using them in a lot of different ways, like mounting them to walls, putting them on the ceiling. They're pretty cool, especially when you're space constrained. I hear you. No shrill sound. Yes. Beautiful room you got there. I'm glad you think that, because this is the worst angle you could possibly view it from. You like how like my YouTube stuff is just kind of like jankily creeping over my shoulder back here? Yeah, you can tell I need to put a little bit more work into these live streams, but I like this vibe, and I haven't done it in a while because it was just honestly the weird interface that I was using for my live streams broke, so I just didn't do them again until now. I'm using the Vocaster 2, which is super handy for this, and it allows me to do the Pro Tools thing, and if for some reason Pro Tools were to crash, at least the stream won't crash with it. So didn't think about the conference thing. That's a cool idea. So you're using 2 computers to do OBS or all on one? A lot of people use 2 to keep it more stable. I've thought about doing that because I have plenty of computers here that aren't being utilized to their full potential, but I'm just using one. I have a Mac Pro. And if there's any Mac haters, I know that's like the biggest eye roll ever, but I mean, it seems to do okay for what I've tried to do. I'm doing a lot of like video now, especially with YouTube, but I mean, it is overkill for audio. And I have an M1 laptop and then a couple other computers just around, and I've wanted to incorporate a lot more video into the channel. Especially if you go to the Patreon, I'm starting to post actual session videos with actually the camera that I'm using right now. Let's see if is it following me? It's supposed to follow me. Let's see. Oh. Is it following me? Okay, I have it turned off right now, but wait, watch this. If I pop it up, it should follow me. So I'll turn that back off so it stays put. Did I do it? I'm still figuring this thing out. Let's just leave it on. Whatever, it's fun. But I want to get a few more of these cameras and put them around the studio. I toyed with it, and if you are on the Patreon, I posted one where this thing was just on all day. And I have a camera here in the control room for me, and I have this thing out in the live room with the band, and I want to get like 3 or 4 more of these and film like that process. And obviously I can't put that stuff on YouTube, but that would be really, really cool to put somewhere like on the Patreon where it won't get flagged and the channel taken down and stuff like that. Man, there's a lot of people in here hanging out. I mean, question for you guys while you're here, is there a certain day you guys are watching? It seems like Mondays and Wednesdays, most people are online. And I don't know if it's because you're all musicians, but you all, at least as far as my analytics are concerned, you guys are all watching pretty late. Like, you're not on YouTube until even noon, as far as my analytics are concerned. So if I were going to do lives, like afternoon on days like these seem to work pretty well. OBS is amazing once you get all your seeds worked out. Yeah, I love OBS, but I'm finding that I keep changing things. So I do love when you can pick it right back up and it's right where you left off, like you hadn't changed a thing. And I need to do better about like just finding something that works and sticking to it. So like going back and watching this, I'll figure out what adjustments I need to make, and then it'll just be better that next time. Enjoyed watching you try all kinds of DAWs. Are you sticking with Pro Tools or still shopping? It's a hard one. I am still shopping. I'm constantly talking to different companies, like making DAWs. I don't want to call any of them out right now, but what I have learned doing this, maybe I should switch screens. I'm talking more than we're on Pro Tools. Here, there we go. Now I can see your chat better. What I have learned is a lot of these companies are way smaller than we think, and they're way more tuned into what we are saying about them. Even Avid, honestly, like when I put out the video on Avid that I got like a bad support call, they reached out. It was kind of intimidating at first, because honestly, I don't know if I didn't think I had that kind of reach to get anybody's attention, let alone Avid's. But eventually they wanted to actually they had a good conversation with me, and they wanted to hear my concerns. I don't know if they were actually heard or not, but at least the guy that I talked to, his name escapes me, and I should remember that, but it's been a few months now and I can't remember his name, but he was a really, really cool guy. He's been there since like day one of Avid, and I think he left the company for a certain time, came back, and I know especially the upper end of the company has like shifted and changed as far as like vision and direction and where they want to go. And he even said like, hey, we don't really call ourselves the industry standard anymore. Like, we can't hold that title. So they know, at least the people working there know. But this is all a very roundabout way of saying, at least right now, I'm sticking with Pro Tools because I have a perpetual license. I have removed basically all of my payment information from the thing, so at least where I am now with Pro Tools, I can stay here and never pay for anything else. With the most current updates, it seems like they're coming faster and they're actually listening. The latest update to Pro Tools feels really, really good. It is super stable, and I'm honestly I'm happy. And that's not even trying to come from a place of like a Pro Tools fanboy, which I call myself that all the time. But even just from the company, like this company has a history, and even back when it was DigiDesign, like they changed the industry. Like they were going to places where companies just weren't there. And yeah, maybe there's been wrong turns along the way, but every company has done that. And I'm not trying to be apologetic for Avid, but it is cool to see them try and to see them listening. And I think they are making some changes. The sad part is like they've gone so far down one road that even when they are doing the right thing, it's like everybody's giving them hate. Like they've changed Pro Tools Ultimate to Pro Tools Flex and raised the price, and then they changed it back to Pro Tools Ultimate. And it's like, okay, that's the right move, but why did you do that in the first place? Like, so I think they know some things were a little screwy, but yeah. Which camera is this? Oh, wow, you guys are commenting a lot. On the DAW, thing. I'm constantly trying new DAWs. Universal Audio sent me an interface so I can actually try Luna, because the bummer, I thought I could try it with my satellite, and you can't. You have to actually have an interface. So I'm trying to learn that one. So that's coming. There's a whole lot on my list to actually try. I have a big, long list. Some that I didn't even know exist. But those are like genuinely fun for me, because I'm learning how to operate even in every other DAW. The way they force you to think differently about how to operate it is pretty cool. Sorry, I had to cough. I just muted the mic. I hope it actually muted. Let me see the chat here. Which camera is this? It's actually an Insta360, their little like webcam, and I think it's doing a pretty good job, at least for a live stream. That's pretty cool. Your control panel is still showing an OBS. Yeah, I'm only on one screen, I know. Afternoons are best. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What time is it where you are? It currently is 6:11. Oh, hey, it's a live stream. It is. Lost y'all for a bit. Did the stream drop out? Did we lose it for a second there? Love the channel. I love that. I love watching you work in Cubase was really cool. I felt like a fish out of water in Cubase, but I really liked it. I should have bought it when it was on sale, because I legitimately loved using it for pre-production. The arrangement window is a game changer. I mean, that was cool. It had me thinking about songs in a different way. Actually, the song that's pulled up in Pro Tools right now, all the pre-production was done in Cubase, and I think like the reason I dig this project so much was because the pre-production was so smooth, and I got to really, really work on it. So yeah, Cubase is awesome. Image Line just put out a release candidate for FL Studio. It's available on the FL forum. You should give it a shot if you're looking for DAWs. I do tons of live tracking in it all the time. Somebody had mentioned FL Studio and that it wouldn't be good for what I do. I mean, obviously I could try all the DAWs under the sun, but I want to give them a fair shot. And so I wasn't sure about FL Studio because it seemed like it just wasn't set up for recording. Granted, I haven't looked at it much. That's just what I've been told. I mean, I don't want to try to force a DAW into something that it's not good at and give it a bad review. You know what I mean? So if it can be done, if you say you live record with it, I'll give it a shot. As long as Avid support is better than Steinberg. I don't know about that. I haven't dealt with Steinberg, but I have dealt with Avid, and that wasn't much fun. I don't miss Pro Tools and cringe when I go to main studio and have to run it. But taking my Cubase rig. I mean, use what you're fast at, you know? I mean, for everything that Pro Tools isn't perfect with, I am so fast with it. And I've been dabbling in a whole lot of other DAWs. And there are certain things where I can be fast, but when it comes to editing, I haven't found anything that can hang yet. Honestly, I want it to, but I mean, Logic, I really tried to learn how to edit in Logic, and it was a nightmare. I could get close in a lot of other things. Reaper was pretty cool, but you had to think about it in such a different way that I think it was just time that I needed to put in, and I don't have the luxury sometimes to put in that amount of time, and I know that. And I hope you guys could see that too, coming from the side. Like, I want to find DAWs that are cool and see like where my skill set could fit into certain things and what other DAWs could bring out of me and get me to think about different things to do. But there definitely is that like 10,000 hours issue. Like even though I try Reaper and I love it, like I don't have the time because I am a functioning commercial studio. I don't just exist on YouTube. This is the stuff I do in my free time, but I don't have the time to become a master at these. And I think I did underestimate that when I started trying all these other DAWs, thinking that my knowledge would kind of work in these other spaces better than it has. And I mean, I can get up and running, and that's kind of like a good initial handshake. And I try to say that in the videos, like, this isn't a mix tutorial. Like, I don't know enough about those DAWs to really get under the hood and make like a mix that I would be stoked on, except for maybe Studio One. That felt good. But I don't know if like there's that back and forth. Like, yeah, Reaper, I felt weird the whole time because there is so much under the hood you could do. You could program that to your heart's content, and it could be like a crazy well-oiled machine, but not necessarily user-friendly. Where Studio One, and this is something I really couldn't translate in a video, where Studio One felt so good right off the bat, and I could easily figure out where things were. I could drag and drop, and I could get everything up and running really, really fast. But if it got to a point where it wasn't on a video, where I had to sit down and actually do some work, there wasn't a whole lot there for me to grab onto because it was so user-friendly that it was hard to get in and actually do work. So that's a really roundabout way to say, I think even a really, really good DAW is going to get hate no matter what, because it can't be both super user-friendly and like have a depth to it to where you could be like a professional doing professional work. But not everybody needs that. Not everybody needs that. So that's anyway. Let me see what you guys are saying down here. Still trying to figure out what Pro Tools currently do the best. I don't think that they do anything the best. I'm not sure that any DAW does anything the best. I mean, I think it's just what you know, right? What are you trained on? If anything, one thing I have learned about Pro Tools is, and don't laugh at this, but stability. I know I feel your eye rolling right now, but hear me out for a second. Pro Tools HD systems are, now as soon as I say this, Pro Tools is going to crash and that'll just be the end of it. But there's a reason that a lot of broadcast houses will use Pro Tools HD rigs. And I haven't found a DAW that can hang to that extent. Granted, it's really, really hard to try because there aren't really systems in a whole lot of other DAWs that will allow you to do a broadcast like that. But I mean, that's completely anecdotal. So take that with a grain of salt. So I don't think any DAW does anything the best. Do you know of any good free or budget pitch correction plugins? I know Melda stuff. Is Melda even still around? They had a really good auto tune. Or pitch correction stuff. That was pretty cool. I hope PreSonus goes on Linux soon. I don't know a thing about Linux. Do you mix in headphones? Which one translates the best for your experience? I don't mix in headphones, but I wish I did. I've gotten used to mixing in this room that I'm in. And there are certain tools that I use to do that, like total balance control, smart, having a lot of meters up, especially when I'm in a room that I don't know. If I'm running broadcasts in a separate room. Sorry, I hope this is actually muting when I cough. Otherwise, I really apologize. But taking tools to other rooms, because I'm just not used to mixing on headphones. That said, I have a couple of producer friends who do mix on headphones, and I'm kind of jealous of them it just like anything else, if you know what those headphones sound like and you can trust them, you can make a good record on them. I'm just used to these speakers for better or worse, but that locks me into this room. I have a good buddy who's an incredible mixer, and he mixes all in headphones because he knows what those headphones sound like. So I think again, it's just like a DAW. It's what you're used to, you know. M Auto Pitch is the best free pitch correction. There you go. Luna is very Pro Tools sequel. It's cool but lacking in some features. That's kind of what I've Pro Tools-esque. Okay. Yeah, when I got into Luna real quick, I definitely picked up on that vibe, but I felt limited a little bit. I haven't done a video on it yet. I feel like I want to give it a fair shot because I do kind of have a mental break with the Universal Audio stuff. And that's me coming from being a Universal Audio boy. I had Apollos before this. Before I switched to Burls and a Pro Tools HD rig. I came from Apollos. And I know it's like trading one prison for another. But the thing, I love Universal Audio. I think it sounds great. They're constantly making improvements. The plugins are cool. What I don't like is being boxed into like that. There's so many limitations there. Like you can't use our software unless you have our thing. Why? You can't use these plugins unless you're on our DSP chips. What? Why? Why in 2022 is that a thing? And I know they just opened up a lot of their stuff now. You can use some plugins natively, which is cool and a step in the right direction, but it is still a very closed off ecosystem. What got you to jump in on YouTube, and how did you start filming? Do you have prior experience with videography? No. If you go watch my first video that I put up, which was the one mic SM57 video, it was one of my most popular videos for a long time. And I think it's still in the top 10, which is unfortunate because I had no idea what I was doing with a camera, and it looks terrible. And I have absolutely no presence on camera back then. I'm still learning and figuring it out. But I think what got me into it was just watching other people. I freaking love YouTube. And that's my main form of social media that I consume even outside of creating on it. And I think I saw Ali Abdal's video of like how he did it. And I was like, that sounds like fun. I'm going to do it. And I think I watched enough videos where people were like, if you're thinking about starting a channel, just do it. Don't wait. It's like, yeah, you're right. I have a camera. Let's go. Didn't know what I was doing. So no, I'm learning as I go. Any experience with Heritage Audio Super 8? I don't have any experience with Heritage Audio, period. Could you show the guitar on the wall second from the right? Okay, let me look here. Second from the right. So you are looking at this backwards. What color is it? Second from the right. Is it the bass? Is it the Spectre? Oh, this one? That one? Or are you talking about the silver guy? Or this one? Can't tell. But it is a Marco TFL. That is a Spectre Legend 5. This is really hard. PRS Custom 22, 2005. And this is a Sir, a JM Custom, I think. I'm trying that one out. The Sir, I really want to like it, but it has some issues, I think. Man, I'm way behind on comments. Keep them coming, though, guys. Why is DAWs not for Linux? Is it a conspiracy? It's the Illuminati. That's all I can tell you. Message retracted. Ooh, spicy. What was it? Like, would you say Pro Tools editing? what exactly is that? I assume you mean like what I'm saying, like I can edit faster in Pro Tools. The way groups work, I mean, I know a lot of other DAWs can do this. I've tried it in Ableton. I tried it in Cubase. It's just, it's kind of, you could tell that in some situations, some DAWs are trying to copy what Pro Tools is doing, but they're not calling everything the same thing. So it just kind of adds to this crazy confusion about what's actually happening. And if I had learned how to edit in Cubase first, it wouldn't be so bad. But Pro Tools editing is just so fast. It's very fast, and I don't know, it's hard to explain. But I can't even really do it on this session that's pulled up because it's so heavy at the moment. Key command is Cubase. Right click will get you the speed you're looking for. Have a bunch of secret handle grabs to get the things done quick. I'm sure. I mean, I know there's a whole lot of behind the scenes things, especially in Cubase. Bitwig is pretty cool, only if you have a 16-track version. Only have the 16-track version, but it's the best of many worlds. I downloaded Bitwig, and I tried it, and I was so confused. I hadn't tried it up to that point, but I downloaded it, and I don't know. It was, I couldn't get it to do a thing. It was so buggy. So I haven't done a video on it, because I literally couldn't get it to play audio. I don't know why. That's the only one I can't get to function. It was weird. I had an issue tracking live with Studio One. In Pro Tools, if you accidentally disconnect from your interface, it remembers the input. Studio One does not. I noticed that too, because I had Studio One crash on me, and I had to redo all of the I/O, which was odd. Pro Tools does remember, even on like a session-to-session basis. Man, how far behind am I on these comments? Woo! They use save a template when it comes to Studio One, but not many DAWs like having an interface disconnected. Greetings from Serbia. Whoa! Pro Tools does multi-channel low latency recording for bands better than anybody, and this is a guy coming from that hates Pro Tools. Yeah, that is definitely a thing. I tried to record something in every DAW that I try, because a lot of times I'm pulling it up and making sure that stuff works before I actually film a video, because that would be a waste of time, and I only have a 30-minute limit on a Canon anyway. So I don't want to blow those 30 minutes trying to figure things out, like if it's going to pass audio, period. But yeah, I mean, even trying to record on some things like latency gets weird. And I don't know that it's not that it's not reporting it correctly, or maybe that's exactly what it is. I don't know, but when I'm in Pro Tools and I have it set to 128, this will go down to 64 samples if I wanted to. I know other DAWs will go a lot lower. Reaper could hang with low latency just fine. But Studio One, I felt like it was lying to me as far as what latency it was reporting and what it was actually doing in the DAW. And I noticed a difference while recording and then during playback. It was weird, and I couldn't wrap my head around what was happening. Your DAW choice should be based around your own creative workflow. Amen. And that's how I try to present it. And I think once I've gone down these roads, I've been thinking about like what's the different personality of every DAW, and it's more about like finding what fits you, finding a friend to hang out with. That's a stupid example, but it feels right. It's muting. Haha, good. I'm glad you guys aren't hearing my coughs. Whoa. I am super far. I just zoomed all the way down to the bottom of the comments. I'm sorry. If there was a question in there that I missed, bring it back up. Sup, loser? Not much, loser. How you doing? So my audio interface is a Focusrite 18i8 third gen. Eventually want to expand my studio with outboard gear. What is a good solution to integrate outboard gear with this card? I'm not sure specifically of that card. What I/O do you have? If you have line outs, a line out and line ins, that's it right there. If you have any amount of line outs and line ins, you could do whatever you want. Obviously, you need like a stereo pair if you want to incorporate like a mix bus in our mix bus compressor, or like mix bus EQ, anything like that. Obviously, you could get more complicated if you have like a little patch bay, and I know Switchcraft makes those like little 8x8s, very tiny, but you could get a lot more complicated if you wanted to go that route. So you're back and it's better. Good. Harrison Mix Bus really has something under the hood. I can get a great sound in 10 minutes. Hearing a comparison to other DAWs, it just acts different. I have talked to the Harrison guys. They were super nice, and we just chatted. Like, it was cool to just hear how they approach the thought of recording and what that is. Like, they were really, really cool guys to talk to. I love their philosophy. It is interesting, like, how they're misunderstood, and I don't want to speak for them at all, but I am interested to try Mixbus. They said they're implementing like a whole lot of changes right now, because what is cool, like they said they're watching the videos and they're seeing what works. Not that they're building anything around me, and you shouldn't, because I'm only one person, but they're taking like the feedback and comments that you guys are putting on those videos. They're reading them, like what's actually important to the end user as far as the DAW is concerned. What features need to be there? What are we used to? And what features are just weird, or what defaults are like screwing me up? And they're paying attention to stuff like that. So definitely really cool for the guys at Harrison. At work, slowed down enough I could pop in and hang with the chat fam. Master of the studio room. Can't bring myself to say loser. Love the channel, brother. Thanks. What's living on your master bus lately, and why? My master bus, plugin wise, let's take a look. Let's switch to Pro Tools here. Kaboom. There's OBS. Sorry. So what's living on the mix bus these days? This is a heavy hitting session, and I have Aura turned on. Trim plugin, just to start with, and that just helps me, because I do everything in 32-bit, so I don't worry as much about gain structure as I probably should. So this is just me fixing that and how I want to hit into everything else. And most of the time I'll import my template setup. I always have a high pass, and that's just because I definitely get too heavy-handed with bass sometimes. Golfos. Love it. I adore this plugin. It is always here, and I don't put too much thought into what these numbers are. I just turn them up till they sound good. You could definitely go too hard with this. I am darkening this a little bit, so there's that. Yeah, I could definitely tell with OBS running too. This is a little laggy. Here we go. Soothe 2. I love this balancing to the Grammy Awards. Just ever so slight. Ever so slight. I'm trying Smart Comp out, and I like the spectral comp down here, especially. I don't know if I can make this bigger. This spectral comp down here, like it kind of evens everything out a little bit, and I'm just trying to barely kiss this thing, and I like what it's doing, so I left it on there. It's not normally on there. That's a new thing. This is always on. The Billy Decker stuff from JST is gold. I mean, you gotta buy the whole pack. I love 2 of the plugins in that pack, the drum one and the master one, and they are worth every penny. From there, it goes into the MBP, my outboard compressor, the Neve Portico II master bus processor. Then we're hitting Control Hub, and guys, I know they sponsored a video. They're not sponsoring right now. I haven't been as stoked on a plugin as I am on this thing in a long time. It's really cool. The color module here is probably one of the best saturators. And like general EQ, like with the bass and treble, it can go so hard. The effects, there's a weird thing with the effects. I see there's an update available, so maybe it is fixed now. I noticed the effects will like bottom out my CPU. It only on one of the algorithms. So I haven't messed with it in a while. But it's just having these artist packs here, and I mean the Mayor Applebum, I mean that dude is so good. So basically you're getting like a Kemper profile of their signal chain. So you're getting like the harmonic stuff, the EQ moves, and these are gentle. There are some that are pretty heavy hitting, but yeah, pretty darn cool. And the limiter is really good on this thing. Fire the clip. Fire the clip. Sorry, I keep coughing. Fire the clip is probably my favorite clipper right now. And it's doing a little bit. It's not doing a whole lot. And then FGX 2, which I finally just got today because there was like an error with my original license, because you got it free if you have FGX 1. But the problem was I had owned it for too long. Like if you had it before a certain date, it didn't automatically give you the license like it was supposed to, so I had to talk to support, and I literally just got it right before the stream, and I popped it on. And it's really cool. It's really, really cool. Definitely, it's probably going to be on my template going forward, and I don't say that about a whole lot of stuff. Holy cow! Somebody sent me $10. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot, especially like this time of year. Thank you very much. Definitely not necessary, but greatly appreciated, my friend. Thank you, David. You should try the demo of SoundRadix Auto Align Post 2 Dynamic Phase Alignment plugin, Magic on drums. If mics get hit during tracking, it'll compensate for that. What? If mics get hit during tracking, it'll compensate for that. What do you mean? Like it'll move, it'll adjust the latency if it gets bumped? Is that what you're talking about? I had Auto Align the first one, and I didn't dig it that much. It seemed like it wouldn't do a consistent thing. I'll definitely give Auto Align 2 a try. Any organization tips for the studio, whether it's keeping the studio clean, maintenance, or file organization, as I'm currently organizing gear at work? I am the wrong person to ask. If you ask my wife, I hate clutter and it gets to me. But I mean, look at the shot right now. It's disgusting. And this is just what you can see. I do try to keep the studio clean, especially when people come over. I like to have a clean environment. That's when I'm the most creative, I think. But I definitely have an issue with like experimentation, and if anybody's into Enneagrams, I'm a 5, hardcore 5, 5 wing 4. Not to get into like that black magic, but so I will research something to death and over research it and over research it and over research it, and which leads me down to like weird experiments, and which is probably why YouTube is so much fun for me. And then I end up with a room full of like a bunch of crap. So Damn, now you tell us about Control Hub after Cyber Monday. Hey, to be fair, I mentioned it in 2 videos. You're not watching the videos. Ring that bell, buddy. That's on you. If the mics move, it'll adjust. It's a bazillion times better than the original. I will definitely try that out then. Because, I mean, auto align was cool, especially for, like, guitars and miking guitar cabs. And I remember that, like, just using multiple mics on one cab and a room mic and having it fix that problem. When it worked, it was great. But sometimes it was inconsistent, to say the least. Oh, my babysitter keeps texting me. Let me make sure everybody's okay for 1 second. Pardon. All right. Sorry for that. Everybody's cool. They're at the library. It's adorable. They're sending pictures. So, I'm producing in a laundry room. If you have a big room, you're already doing better than me. Hey, it's not the size of the room that matters. And if you're in a laundry room and you're surrounded by all that fabric, your room probably sounds pretty good. And it probably smells great, so don't hit on yourself too much. What do you like most about your job? What's your last discovery? My last discovery. While I answer the first part of that question, explain your second part of your question. What do you mean by discovery? What do I like most about my job? Man. Okay, let's talk. Let me change the camera for this. All right, here we go. My job has changed a lot over the years. Excuse me. When I first started out, it was kind of a necessity and just doing what I could do to put food on the table. But I always knew that I loved music and the creation of it. I was never the best at it. I feel like all throughout my career, I'm looking at people to the left and right of me and noticing like how much better they are than me and trying to learn from them. And the bummer of it was like there wasn't really a method to learn from those people. Even if they were like your colleagues, the culture was weird. And so, okay, I see, like, do you ever question the name you chose for the channel? That'll work into this answer too. But no, like, I feel like I've been a loser since day one. Like, the first records that I put out were trash. But it's only through learning what works and what doesn't and going at it from the mindset of, like, hey, I'm not the best at this. All these other people have talents in so many different areas. And if I can go about it from the perspective of I'm not the best at this, I have so much to learn, I'm a loser, there's just kind of a way to help ground myself, I guess. And I don't mean it as like a slam to anybody. Like, I mean, in my mind, we're all losers, but that's cool. Like, and if anything, it was to, I guess when I was looking at stuff on YouTube, because I watch YouTube all the time, even before starting a channel, I consume it probably too much, but I couldn't relate to so many of the mentalities of like people in the industry. And I knew from like working in the industry, like not everybody was like that. We weren't all like the rock star types. Of course, we were all musicians and we want to be rock stars. Well, yeah, okay. But like, man, I couldn't rock that persona if I tried. I am not that guy. So like just calling, I think I was listening to a podcast, and I love the podcast, Recording Studio Rockstars. And I love that podcast, but I was like, I'm the opposite of this guy. And it wasn't coming from like, I don't like that podcast. I love it. But it was, I guess I'm the hyper opposite. I am constantly learning. I don't feel like calling myself a rock star right now. So what do I call myself? Obviously, I didn't think it would go anywhere. Recording Studio Loser started as a podcast. And if you guys ever listen to any of those, let me know, because that would be crazy interesting. But like 3 years before I started the channel, I put out probably like 30 or 40 podcasts. And that's what started the groundwork for me, like liking to talk about this stuff. I had guests on, I met a lot of really cool people, but I mean, the podcast never went anywhere. And I realized like it got to the point where I needed to show some things because I was explaining things that just needed like a visual aspect to them. And that's, I stopped doing the podcast for a while because I really didn't want to be on camera. And it was like 2 years after that, I started the channel, and I just kept the name because like I'm not going to pay for another logo. So why not keep it? I hope that makes sense. Shout out to all the producer dads. Yeah, it's a life. We get to make music and be dads. Come on, what's better? And if you're not a dad, that's fine. More power to you. You can sleep in. Sleep in for the rest of us. Good thing I did a lot of pop punk records when I started. Help hide the mistakes. Bro, I love pop punk. I have one coming down the line right now. I think we're going to hit the studio in like February or March. The demos are insane. I'm so excited for this record. I love heavy music in general. Speaking of which, I found my favorite cab. I've been looking for a long time for a 2001 Mesa cab. Not the cab itself, the speakers inside. I wanted 2001 to 2003 vintage 30s. Yeah, I'm into heavy music. If you listen to Nolly, you know, like those are the golden age of speakers. And I looked all over the country for one. Couldn't find one. I almost drove to Florida from here in Indiana. Almost drove to Florida to pick one up. Almost drove to New York to pick one up. Neither one of those worked out. And I found one in a pawn shop here in town. In a pawn shop. They had no idea what they had. I'm not sure anybody would. Like, how many people out there are looking for that specific year of cab, but I found it, and it is the sound. It's fantastic. The best at this seems like virtuosos producing at least interesting work. Authenticity goes a long way. Recording room. Wait. Record room sound from the studio speakers with microphone in the room. What do you, I lost context for that one. Making music with your kids doesn't suck. Making music with your kids doesn't suck. Nope. I have my daughter in here just the other day recording some stuff, and it was a blast. She's 6. It was adorable. The Mesa sounds sick. It totally does, dude. I have a couple amps like right over here. Will this follow me? Follow me. Come on. Come on, camera. Follow me. Follow me right over here. I've got a couple amps. I have a couple amps set up right here. Dr. Z, and then I don't know if you can see the PRS right here. Both of those are currently hooked up to the Mesa and a Friday audio cab, and they are dope. I love that cab. It sounds so good. And if anybody's wondering why, it's just because it's so dark. It is not harsh at all. You can hit it hard with a lot of distortion, and it's so clean. I don't know how, but it is the sound. Like if you listen to super heavy records that are mixed really, really well, like in the early 2000s, think, man, I don't even know. If anybody has examples, toss them out there, but it sounds great. Like early 2000s metal. Some of those records don't sound great, but you know what I mean. Oh, Jackson Kerr. I didn't see that was you. Let me go back to your original question. Okay. The record room sound comment is a request, I think. Oh, it's a request. Record room sound. Yo, yo, yo. Great to see you live, dude. Holy sub. Freak rumble when you grab the mic. Oh, my bad, guys. Sorry about that. Mesa 212 slant cab, my go-to. Yeah, I got the 412. It's the oversized one, and it's huge. It's big. I plan on making a video out of that one. I have a ton of mics that have gotten sent to me that I need to do stuff with. Here's one of them. The AKG sent me this guy. Will this focus? Will this rack focus? I've never used this camera before, but this is actually pretty cool. And it comes back to me. Hey, I like this setup. This is cool. So they sent me an AKG 313 because they know I love the 414. This isn't sponsored right now, so I could say whatever I want. I wanted to try this on a few different sources, and I haven't played with it a ton yet, but I'm trying to see if it'll do like the 414 thing. Because oddly enough, one of my favorite places for a 414 is on the snare bottom. I have no idea why it's so cool. Yeah, just cough right into the mic. That's awesome, Jeremy. But I'm trying that out, and I have some Soyuz stuff. Let's see. You guys are just coming with the questions. I love it. I should do these lives more often. I'll go back and watch this, and if you guys have tips for like, hey, this is cool about your live stream, this is not, maybe think about doing this, please let me know, because this is fun, and I just want to figure it out. I noticed the big studios seem to hide what they're doing to their interns. The big studio culture is kind of lame. Mid-level studios could share more. You notice this? Definitely notice that. You definitely are not privy to certain information in certain situations, but I think I had one mentor who was really cool and had no secrets, and that's kind of where my background comes from, and I was so grateful to that person that I feel like I wanted to keep that going in my life. Obviously, there's information like that's not suitable for a large forum such as YouTube because it's going to get buried. It's not going to go anywhere. But I mean, hopefully I can be that person to somebody else. And that's what I'm trying. But yeah, I agree. Do you think the guitar pedals boom? Do you think the guitar pedal boom stops? Seems like nobody cares about pedals. I hope not, because I'm like just starting to get into it. I did notice though, my 2 videos on guitar pedals are not doing very well. As I used to play, I used to be like an amp, a guitar into pedals into amp guy. When the Kemper came out and I got the Kemper, I started using that just because I didn't want to carry around super expensive amps all the time. And the Kemper was pretty darn close. It wasn't perfect. Now the Quad Cortex, it's even closer, but some of the effects are lacking. I'm sure it'll eventually get there, but there is something like experimental that you just can't get with a modeler just because of the form factor. I don't think it's a fault of the unit. I think it's a fault of like how we're using them. So I hope the pedal thing is sticking around because they're super useful. And I would love to get more into pedals. And I've reached out to a couple companies like to hopes to try some things, but I don't know. I hope so. Off topic. Jeremy, you have a family, wife, and kids. You have a great studio and job that you love, and you call yourself a loser. Looser. Yeah, man, I'm not trying to use that word hateful. If anything, it's kind of like a badge of honor. I don't want to seem like anybody else is a loser. Like that was specifically just meant for me. And like the mentality that I go forward with my career and how I approach knowledge in this area. Like if you go at everything as if you're a loser, as if somebody else is better, then all you can do is learn and get better. So as cheesy as that is, that's kind of where I'm coming from. But no, man, I have like my dream life basically, so that's not lost on me. Greetings from Pensacola. Hey, my dad lives in Sarasota. I have no idea how close that is, but I like it down there. Have you tried Overloud THU? If so, what are your thoughts? I only have the Slate Digital version. I played with the Slate Digital version when I had the subscription for a while. I let it lapse. I just wasn't using it very much. And it was cool. There was one record actually that I did. Man, it's been like 8 years at this point. Just wanted to see if I could do it with THU, or I don't remember. It was whatever came with Slate at that time. And I used it for the entire record and nobody knew. So there you go. If you have Isotope RX, running your voice through denoise on your mic during the stream will work very well and kill a bit of the noise floor. I do. I will try that. My concern was trying to get it as low latency as possible. And I am trying this new interface out, so figuring out the noise situation, but definitely thank you. Wanted to say thanks for getting me back and interested in studio work. Making music is fun. Heck yeah, man. Welcome back. Welcome home. Just doing the virtual pedal thing, using Samplitude 5, mix and mash so quickly. Yeah. Having virtual stuff is, you can kind of get into the same thing. It's I guess it's the user interface, especially on like floor modelers, that makes it hard. And I haven't found a workflow like in Pro Tools working direct that I've totally settled on, but I'm such an amp guy. I'm not opposed to using software. Sometimes it could sound really, really cool, but I feel like I need to know what I want before I start it. And with an amp and with pedals and with real cabs, like I feel like so many things accidentally happen that make cool moments, but that's a different conversation for a different day. I call myself the most stupid man in Norway. Dude, I have been to Norway, Sweden, Finland. It is beautiful up there. Man, the fjords up there are ridiculous. So beautiful. Any thoughts on reamping with Pro Tools as the DAW, specifically with regards to latency versus Studio One that compensates great? Reamping with Pro Tools as the DAW. I don't think a DAW would matter like at all with reamping. Yeah, I don't know. I reamp a whole lot with Pro Tools as a DAW. Are you saying like recording a DI and then later reamping it? I mean, in that case, latency wouldn't be an issue at all. But unless you're talking about like using Pro Tools as the amp with plugins inside, no, Pro Tools gets down to like you will never know there's latency, especially the players, because that's one of the things cool about an HDX system. I could have it set to whatever I want in here in the control room, but what the players hear is compensated, direct, it's instantaneous. It's like having that low latency monitoring from like Universal Audio, but it does everything for you, and you can listen through plugins and do all this stuff. Like, it's pretty insane. And that level of like latency compensation, I haven't found in another DAW. You said it before in one of your videos, you keep trying. When you keep trying, you never be a loser. Yeah. Have you used the Mesa cab clone for tracking? If so, I've used it live. I used to play guitar at a church, and I would take my Dr. Z. That's right over here. Pop, pop. And they had a Mesa cab clone there, and it was pretty cool. It sounded great. I haven't used it for tracking. I do use load boxes for tracking every once in a while, though. Space Mountain. Wish I could catch the whole stream, but wanted to pop in. Dude, if you guys are into just jams, go check out the Bass Mountains channel. He commented here. Go follow that dude. I miss you, Josh. Bass Mountain. Coffee or tea during the sessions? Funny, you should ask that. Coffee most of the time, but I just had a conversation with my wife. I asked her, because I'm not feeling super great, and I wanted tea last night, and I got some tea, but the tea sucked. But I asked her, I was like, have you ever had really, really good tea? And she said no. I was like, I want to try it. So if anybody has recommendations, I want to see what tea is all about. I drink too much coffee. I know that. So I need something to drink, and I'll have a bang every now and then. But that's just because I'm a sleepy dad, business owner who operates on nothing but caffeine. But I would love to get into some good tea. So if anybody has recommendations for somebody who really digs like a dark roast coffee, let me know. I don't know if that would translate at all, but yeah. DI, then reamp later. Yeah, it's not. If you're DIing and reamping later, it's not a big deal. Hey, good to see you doing these. I know, man. I don't need to be doing these live ones anymore. I actually have an interface now, again, so we should be doing these more often. Do you use outboard preamps? If so, what are you listening for in the pre? I use a lot of outboard preamps, actually. Check out the studio tour later if you want to see like a rundown on those. How long have we been going right now? Just over an hour. Okay, I cannot forget to go pick my kids up. As long as you guys have questions, I'll stick around. Real quick, if you guys who are sticking around, in the description there should be like some Sweetwater links, affiliate stuff. If you want to, just click one. You don't have to buy anything, but it helps a lot just to have you click on them. It's weird, I know. It's Christmas. I got to at least stick my neck out there somehow. But obviously, like, if you purchase anything through that, I get a portion of it. Nobody's sponsoring this stream, but obviously super chats are always appreciated. Definitely not necessary, but if you feel like you get value out of these, hey, just put a thumbs up in the chat, man. Try some chai tea. I have drank chai lattes. See, I'm just adding coffee to it. Just get some Earl Grey. Okay. I mean, I'm stupid when it comes to tea, so even like what's probably the most obvious answer probably goes way over my head when it comes to tea. The paramedic in me can't live without coffee. I feel you. I love tea, but it isn't for everyone. I also don't usually drink caffeinated stuff either. I need to cut back on the caffeine. If Josh is still in the chat, Bass Mountain, that dude lives on a whole lot more caffeine than I do. I need to learn his ways. Milo tea is awesome here in Jamaica. Okay. I've heard that cocaine is good for singers. Probably. And you just got me to read that out loud. So now we're demonetized. Thank you. Hit like. Your desert island, 1 guitar, 1 amp setup. Oh my gosh. If I only had 1 amp. Okay, it's not my favorite amp, but probably because it's the most versatile one that I have. I'd probably go with the PRS Archon because it can do so many things. It can get really, really dirty, and it can be really, really clean. It's not the best for either one of those, but it's hard to find an amp that can do both of those things really well. So that if I had one, that'd probably be the one. Unless I was like in a very straight ahead rock band, then I'd probably go with the Dr. Z because it does the edge of breakup thing so well. And my guitar, I don't know. That's a hard question for me right now because I'm like hunting for a new guitar. I'm thinking about selling a mic, and picking up a really nice guitar. So if anybody has recommendations, let me know. Yeah, your caffeine take is a problem. Yeah, Josh. Jeez. How do you like to do updated FGX2? I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I got it free because I had FGX1, and it's actually pulled up on the screen right now. If I switch, it's actually right here. Yeah. So I've been playing with it a little bit, and it's pretty killer. PRS Custom 24. I have a Custom 22, but it is getting about that time, fellas, and I didn't even show anything. I feel like this happens every time. I didn't show anything about this mix, so I want to hear it.
Is it the way they smile or hold open a door? Knowing it won't.
I love how these drums turned out. And then Josh Base Mountain, who is currently in the chat. Josh, I almost turned you into a synth. But check this out, what I'm doing. I've never done this before on bass. Wolf compressor, lo-fi all the way up, and compressor at 50%, and this thing compresses like crazy. That then goes into double tap, that goes into R bass, and then I'm just lobbing off like the super subs, but it just tucks in there.
Is it the way they smile or hold open a door? Knowing it won't end up like the last. I was so hurt by the last guy. I think I'm allergic.
I'm actually singing a little bit in there. It's always fun when you can hop on somebody's project and they want you to, and you don't like have to. What's your most favorite genre to work with? Which has the most consistently talented and easy to work with people? That's a super good question, but I don't think there's an answer. Every genre has people who aren't prepared and people who are standouts. Like, I don't notice anything in any genre, to be honest. Like, what I like about my job is that I work with so many different genres, and I am not specialized or niched down into one thing. I have my personal preferences when it comes to music, but I love being able to work in so many different genres. On drums, what's your take on using VSTs, multi-tracking to DAW with a MIDI kit, then splitting everything to audio files to mix? I would assume it's fine. I haven't done that. So I have been really curious about, I think it's F-Note makes a drum kit that kind of looks like an acoustic kit, but is just like MIDI drums, and then you can trigger whatever you want. It would be super interesting to try a session with that. I would love to do that, actually. Because I never have. And especially if I could like use my own samples with it. That would be super cool. When you track for a song, do you record with the spatial effects all turned on to hear what it's going to sound like? Not all of them. Normally what I have, on this, actually, let me flip over to Pro Tools real quick. So, you'll see like this little guy right here, tracking effects. I normally have this, and it's just a delay into a verb. And again, Valhalla vintage verb. If you're not using rich chamber, what are you doing with your life? That's all I gotta say. Did I switch windows? I did. Good. Okay. And then I'll have that on like mute-o-matic, which just mutes it if it's not recording, so that as I'm talking to the talent in the room, it doesn't go crazy. But this one actually stayed in the project right alongside some other effects down here, and you can see like I'm automating things to come on and off here. And there's a couple different delays, a slap that's really, really fast, a stereo delay, a parallel width, a short reverb, and a really, really long one. And those are right alongside my tracking effects. But normally, no, I'm not using all of these in a tracking situation. I'm just doing something super simple. But the super simple version of it is getting to the vibe that I want. So, what was your favorite band in high school? Thrice. Easy answer. Thrice. Probably them or Under Oath. Kids in the Way was wicked cool. Not a super well-known band, but man, they were great. Who else did I listen to in high school? Man, Blast from the Past. Bricasti, I wish I had a Bricasti, man. Is there anything that you do technique-wise that you think other engineers would absolutely cringe over? Probably everything. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, I work so much on my own that I don't know. I don't know, like, if other people would be like, oh, that's terrible. But, I mean, I think for the most part, everybody's got their own thing. So, like, hyper judging somebody else's thing or getting cringy, like, if it works, it works. If it sounds good, it sounds good. And that's the thing about what we do. Like, so much of it is subjective. I know the things that I put out and the things that I mix, not everybody's going to dig them, but that's not the point. It's like, if I just continue to make things that I think sound cool, and that's going to change over time, right? With my taste and as my musical experience gets better, and as I work with more musicians that push my talents further, that'll change. But yeah, I don't know. Have I tried mulled wine? Oh yeah, really good, especially this time of year. Number one trick for keeping hi-hat bleed out of a snare. Message retracted. Oh, you retracted it as I read it. Sorry to call you out. No, that's a good question. I mean, I have like an extra mic stand, and I put a towel on it and get it close to the mic. It's not pretty, because my favorite mic to use on a snare is the DM20, and that is not good at rejecting bleed. So you kind of got to do a little bit of work. New here. DJ M21. New here, but see your channel before. Let me know if you want to try anything Steinberg. Let me know if you want to try anything Steinberg. Do you work with Steinberg? I mean, if that's the case, yeah, send it along. Simplicity has Bricasti Iris free. Can't say enough good thing about him. Yeah, I mean, Bricasti is its own flavor for sure. I wish I had like an actual one. Are you mainly capturing mic'd amps, or do you capture amp DIs, cab simulations? Mostly mic'd amps, if I could get away with it. Sometimes, like with the amount of players that I have here for a session, I think for this session, one of them was going into a load box. Yes, this one right here. In which case I'm using like Miko, because this thing just sounds great. it can sound like a vintage 30, just like I'm used to. Am I on Pro Tools? Yes. Okay. My little chat window down here is not updating. So, yeah, most of the time, if I can get away with it, it's mic'd cabs, except for bass. Bass is the one that's really, really hard because I like getting a cab so loud that it just doesn't work in a building full of players. Like if I'm doing one thing at a time, yeah, I'll mic a bass cab every time. But most of the time what happens here is there's like 4, 5, 6 players at a time, and I'm out of rooms to put things in. So it's easy to take a DI for bass and then reamp it later. Or sometimes you just keep the DI, which most of the time is what ends up happening, sadly. Those cabs are awesome. And I have an Ampeg cab that I love. The red DI for bass is sick. Absolutely. So wait, you said yes. Okay, the guy that said Steinberg, you work for Steinberg. Well, yeah, I would love to try whatever, please. Hey, dude, love your stuff. Hope everything is great for you. Sorry it's not studio related. Any advice for a UK artist trying to get the first USA airplay? Had some over here already. I'm so outside of airplay and radio. That's really hard. I work in a lot of like niche genres. I feel like I'm not doing a whole lot of like wide stuff. And I mean, I'm in a part of the US where if it's not country, it's not on the radio. So I'm the wrong person to ask about that. I'm sorry, man. So you track with amps in a live room then versus ISO rooms for amps. Most of the time what happens, all the players are in one room together and the amps are in separate rooms. I have ISOs that specifically have cabs in them. And if I run out of that, then we start going DIs or load boxes, but then preamp them later. Shout me your email. I could stay in contact that way. I'm not going to put it here. Actually, I think it's in the description below. There's a link to the website, and if you hit me up there, I'll get back with you, but I don't want to blast my email here right now, just saying it in a video. Or reach out to me on Instagram. Recording Studio Loser on Instagram. Find me there, and I will talk to you. No problems, dude. Appreciate you reading it. Cool. I think I'm all caught up. Man, it is getting about that time. I am going to have to leave, but guys, this is awesome. I am still on the Pro Tools window. Let me switch that real quick so I can look you in the eye. That was fun. I like doing these lives, and we should do them more often. So if you guys want to stick around for stuff like that, I mean, you guys stood here for a long time and listened to me just talk and answer questions, and I appreciate that. This is fun for me, genuinely. It's a totally different vibe than just making videos for you guys, so I really appreciate that. Oh, one popped up. What's your advice for staying on track and finishing songs? I've wanted to make a video about this because I feel like there's a part of it that I want to answer more in detail, and like maybe it fits into like the opening a studio series. But staying involved with like multiple projects at a time and how to stay organized with that. And I think the answer for it is just going to be that it's like overall easy to overthink. But in a very short answer, probably just having like a really good conversation with the artist. And if the artist is you, then having a good vision about where you want that to go. But anything and everything you could do to get into the artist's head and to help that kind of drive any creative decision that you would make. That's all I would say. Thanks for hanging out, guys. That was a blast. Is there one more? Let me see. What's the strangest thing you ever had to record instrument-wise? Strangest thing I ever had to record. It was a cat. It was a cat. They wanted me to sample. It was a heavy band, and they wanted me to record their cat and put it underneath the snare. That was weird. It felt like we were taking advantage of the cat the whole time. It was really odd. The cat did not want to be here. It didn't want to be recorded. Yeah, thanks for bringing up that scarring memory. So that's a good one to end on, guys. Don't call PETA on me, okay? Alright, guys. Well, I'm going to hit it. Maynard used a cat. They stole it. They probably did, now that I think about it, because they knew exactly what they wanted, and I wasn't in on the joke. You need someone to mix for you? Well, hey, hit me up. My contact information is in the description below. I love mixing stuff. Let me know. Alright, guys. I could just keep looking at these comments. Eventually, I'm just going to have to, leave. But I appreciate you guys. We'll definitely do this again. Stay tuned. There's a whole lot more videos coming before the end of the year. It's a stretch to get them done, but there are definitely some plans to get some cool stuff out. So if you're into it, check out the Patreon. There's some actual session stuff going there. I am working on getting drum samples out to the Patreon, if that's something that you're into. So, and if you guys have any other ideas for these live streams, let me know. Anyway, take it easy, guys. I appreciate you. Have a good night. See ya.